Hey YouTube, Bungzy here with another 2-minute ultralight review on ultralight backpacking. As I've mentioned in a previous review or two, I always backpack with a fishing setup if I'm going to be near a stream. For me, there is not a more peaceful, fun, or memorable thing to do with 30 minutes than throw a line. I started with spin casts, moved on to fly fishing, and then on to Tenkara, which I just love. Tenkara was made for backpacking. Today I'm walking you through my entire Tenkara backpacking setup, which weighs a whopping 4.16 ounces for the rod and all my supplies. Let the timer begin. Let's start with my current backpacking rod of choice, which weighs 2.39 ounces on my scale. It's the Keiryu-X by Daiwa. A link for this and all the supplies I'll be mentioning is in my video description down below. This rod is in the middle to low end of the price range at 150 bucks. What's great about this rod? Number one, it's really sturdy. I mean really. It's a little stiffer than average, but in return, this rod can take a beating and handle large fish as well. No point backpacking with a delicate rod that may break. Number two, it collapses to only 15.6 inches, which is several inches shorter than the majority of Tenkara rods. This allows you to store the rod more safely. I then carry 2 line holders. I highly recommend this setup. If the fish aren't biting or maybe you've snagged a line, no problem. Within seconds, you're good to go. On each line holder, I have a braided line, tippet, and a fly all ready to go. Each setup weighs only 0.4 ounces on my scale. I then carry an extra mini spool of tippet. This one is smaller and lighter than most. I then also bring a couple extra braided lines, a few weights, and a couple strike indicators. They're more of a nice to have and not a must have. I then have a wide selection of flies in a baggie, including some redundancy in case I lose one that's working well. And of course, I always have my fishing license as well. Not included in my weight is my knife, which contains a pair of pliers, which is critical to saving a fish from an embedded hook. I have a full review on this pocket knife in a separate video in case you haven't seen it. Here it is. As for which flies, here's my advice. Number one, call a local outfitter and ask them what they recommend. And number two, take a variety because said outfitter may be wrong or full of you know what. One last bit of advice. Store your fishing lines and flies in an airtight baggie and then store that with your food at night. Fish have a strong odor, as you know, and there's no point attracting critters to the smell. Well, I hope I gave you something to think about. Hit subscribe and see you on my next ultralight review on ultralight gear.